Hello everybody, I just want to show some solutions for the Chapter 8 homework that has to do with cost, markup, markdown, sale price, all of those really fun things. And so for these first couple of questions, we are just trying to calculate the missing information. And luckily in this chapter, if you go into the book and you look at the notes in the back that's almost towards the assessment test, you'll see the formulas, and there's a tremendous number of formulas for this chapter, but you really only need a couple of them. You can kind of figure out all the other formulas from the main two, and for sure one of the main formulas is the one that goes sale price equals markup plus cost. And so the idea is that somebody who's going to sell something, maybe it is a retailer. This person is a retailer, and they're in sort of a shop here. They're going to sell it to a consumer, and they had to buy it, first of all, probably from either the factory itself where they're manufacturing them, or else maybe there's a wholesaler. That's who I will call this person. I'll just put W for wholesaler. They're going to sell it to a retailer. The retailer is going to sell it to a consumer. So in this case, this person is selling a bookcase, and this retailer, they had to buy it, and they buy it at the cost. And then they add their markup to it so that they can make some money, and then they sell it at the selling price. And so here, this retailer, I'm going to say they will add plus the markup will be what this retailer person is going to do. And then that will equal the selling price. The cost plus the markup is the selling price. So that's kind of the scheme that we have going on here. And let's actually make some of these calculations. So their cost that they bought the bookcase for is $42.40, and then they add a markup of $24.50. So why don't we just do that little addition here? And is it even worthwhile to put this one into the calculator, guys? I know that you can do it anyways, since we got so much practice with the adding. Don't you agree that this will add up to 60? If I can find my spot, $66.90 if you add those. And I'm sure that it would not be too painful just to check this one. Plus $24.50 is $66.90. Very good. Now we have another thing that we need to find, which is the percent markup based on cost. And that's trying to figure out basically what proportion of the cost is the markup. If somebody's going to buy something at their cost, and then they add that same amount again as the markup, that would basically double the price, right? The selling price would be twice as much as the cost. That would be a 100% markup based on cost. But why don't we just write the little formula for it? And when you see the formula, especially the symbol, percent markup based on cost, I can always remember it that way because it goes markup over cost. And so see here, the markup is kind of above the cost, markup over cost. So that's all we need to do. We need to do the markup over the cost. It's a little less easy to do this one in our head. I certainly welcome you to try, but $24.50 divided by $42.40. Oh no, what happened? Oh, I had two slashes somehow. There we go. So it gives it to us as a decimal, of course, but we can change it, and we should change it to a percent because it's called percent, and we even have the percent symbol here. So we should put it as a percent, which would go, we need to move this decimal two places, so we'll go here. Let's call it 57 point, I'll round to the 10th of a percent, 57.8%. And that would be the answer for this one. Now we will do it again. And we need to calculate the missing information. In this case, it is a hat. So somehow that must have been a cheap bookcase because this hat costs almost the same amount. It says that we will round dollars, round percents to the nearest 1/10 of a percent like we did last time. We need to find the selling price, so of course we're going to be using again selling price equals markup plus cost. So the markup is $40 and the cost is $36.75. So if you add those, you should get $76.75. That will be the selling price. And then we need to find the percent markup based on cost, which is just markup over cost. So we will do 40 over 36.75. And you see in this case, wow, it's a lot of markup because that's even more than the cost. So it's going to be more than 100% markup based on cost. And let's actually calculate this one. It goes 40 over 36.75 is 1 point, so on and so forth. But recognize this is more than 100%. We move the decimal place 2 places to the right. It will go 108.8%. 108.8. Now what are we up against? We need to determine a percent markup based on cost. And our context here is that there is a wholesaler. And in this case, let's forget about the context that we built for number one, because in this case, a wholesaler is selling a guitar for a certain amount. We want to find out what is the percent markup based on cost if the wholesaler paid $7.80. So in this case, the wholesaler is being the middleman. He bought it. He must have bought this guitar from some type of a factory or something like that, and he's going to sell it to Guitar Center or whatever, and then they are going to sell it to a consumer. So this wholesaler, he bought it at a cost. We have to be able to figure out some of these things because we're trying to find out the percent markup based on cost, and that's markup over cost. Can we find the cost? It says the wholesaler paid $7.80 for it, so this one must be the cost, is $7.80. What about this $1,411.80? That's how much he sells it for. So we're going to have to do something here because notice that must be the sell price. That's the sell price. So we're going to have to calculate this markup. Or else, what I would like to do is to take this formula that we have up here, and we could just solve this one for M. You see what we will do? We can just subtract C on both sides. Because if we have sell price equals markup minus cost, or plus cost rather, if we just subtract C on both sides, it will go sell price minus cost is markup. So the sell price, which is the $1,411.80 minus the cost, that will give us the markup. So why don't we find that one? It is $1,411.80 minus $780. So that markup, if you are following along, we subtracted the right ones, $631.80. That's the markup because the sell price was $1,411.80. The cost was the $780, and that gave us this one. So that's what we need to divide. We need to divide that markup of $631.80 divided by the cost of $780. And what is that going to give us? I would just recall my answer there, and then divided by 780 is 0.81, but of course as a percent, if we move twice, it will go 81%. And so that does it for these problems. We will pick up with number 4.